There's been a little problem that I've been trying to avoid showing in some of these videos, and it has to do with the pathing of the dog. So essentially, the dog gets stuck on walls sometimes, on corners specifically, and that's just because his pathing is not advanced. It typically you would do something like A star for pathfinding, but I could implement that, but I don't want to. So I did something simpler instead because I figure it'll just be good enough for this. And that is, I basically added these kind of ramp tiles that only the dog will collide with. So in cases when he's trying to follow you around corners, he'll be more likely to kind of smoothly bounce off of them, hopefully. So now that the ramp tiles are in, we'll see if he gets stuck on anything. He should kind of move around this tree at the very least. I don't think there's any way he can get stuck on it. But let's just kind of test a little bit. I should specify that this is genuinely not a good solution. It's not even a solution, actually. It slightly reduces the chance of him getting stuck, but it doesn't it doesn't prevent it. He still will get stuck sometimes. So really the proper thing to do is actual pathfinding, which this is not pathfinding. All he's really doing is trying to find a direction that's kind of towards me, and if he runs into a diagonal wall on the way there, then he'll just kind of curve around it. But yeah, it's not pathfinding, but at the very least, it reduces the problem a little bit for now. And last video, I mentioned the weapon screen and how it's a little bit empty. So in the bottom half here, I added this weapon stats. So for whichever one you're hovering. And like I've said before, I'm probably only going to have 4 weapons, so it kind of works out having 4 slots going side by side here. And apart from like some formatting, I can call this done. I also want to respond to a few comments. This one is from Wisp Project. He says, you could remove unbinding as an option and only allow the player to rebind. I think that's the safest and, on the player's end, simplest solution to ensuring functionality. You are absolutely right. I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't think of this in the moment. Okay, so this is a response to the problem I brought up back a couple of videos ago where I was talking about rebinding controls. And I'm like, okay, what happens if the player rebinds or unbinds their button for like enter, which is also the same button for like entering a menu? So if they unbind that button, then they can't get back into the menu, right? So he's saying just don't allow them to unbind, just rebind. Yeah, I think I'm kind of used to playing games that have like more controls. I know like when I played Deus Ex, I unbind some controls because I just don't use them. But for a game like this, yeah, it just makes sense to just like not let them unbind, just rebind. You are absolutely right. So thank you for the comment. And actually from the same comment, it also says, question about attack/interact using the same slot. How do you handle the logic of deciding which action should be executed? I think this is like a really good question because so in my mind, and what I did for this game is I have to prioritize interaction over attack. So I first check if there's something that's interactable, like right in front of me. And if there isn't, then you attack. Going one step further than that though, in this game, what I decided to do was for everything that's interactable, pretty much everything, once you interact with it, like if you open a chest or if you push a log to like its final spot, it becomes kind of a non-object. Like, so even if you're right up next to a log after it's in its final spot, you're just going to attack over the top of it, right? Something I noticed in the Super Nintendo game Illusion of Gaia, to interact with buttons, you attack them. So there's literally no conflict there. And there are also chests that you can open, but they always seem to be in like these dead end isolated areas where there's like no enemies. So I kind of wonder if that was like a design decision to kind of reduce the potential like overlap there. But you might not have a game like that, and it kind of, from reading this comment, it sounds like you don't. Like you might have like desks and cabinets and things everywhere that you can search. So I'd say the conclusion that you came to separate them is the right one. That's what I personally would do for this. There is definitely appeal to trying to simplify controls and keep things simple, but yeah, it just depends on the game. And I would say it's about measuring the potential for kind of like problematic overlap. So anyway, hopefully that helps. And this one is from Dan Turner. He says a common retro trick when using fewer frames on a character is to give the weapon more frames of animation instead, especially if it's going to be reused between characters. So he's responding to last video where I was talking about the weapon only having 2 frames of attack versus 1 frame. And yeah, I think this is a good point. So now I decided to actually do that. It's a little bit hard to see, but now I guess I can technically say there's 3 frames. So thank you for that. And I want to show one more thing that I added. You might remember from previous videos that I had a second weapon, which is like a flying squirrel. Can't have a flying ferret, doesn't really make sense. But I moved that to weapon 3, and I added a different weapon for the second weapon. If I come up with a better idea, I'll make something else. But it just kind of came to me. It's an axe, essentially, kind of. So low stamina attack is just a normal swing, and if you charge up all the way, then you kind of have this like arcing attack. And this is I'm kind of copying Secret of Evermore. There's like a charged up attack with the axe. I don't remember if it's level 2 or level 3, but he kind of does the same thing. He like spins it around him. So why is the report flag functioning as an axe? Well, I will have some context for that later, but if I think of something better, then I'll make something else. But that's what I have for now. So thank you again for watching. See you later.